Hey guys, I'm doing well today. So in today's video we'll be reviewing round 2 of the Six Nations. So starting off with England versus Italy. England had a pretty much dominant display against Italy, but beating them 41-18. Overall, pretty impressive from England. It's kind of the expected result at the end of the day. Italy, to be honest, actually shocked me in the sense of how well they played throughout the match. Obviously the score doesn't really reflect how well they played. To be frank, Italy. They got off the mark within the first 2 minutes, and Montione just back, quick play just down the line, very well worked, and he just ran right through and just scored a try down left corner. So it's more or less, it was a very well worked try. That's probably the best try out of the game, in my opinion. Overall, England just came in, and their pressure was just going to get to Italy at some point, and it came through really. Elliot Daly getting a try to his name, I think it was the first try he got, and then Anthony Watson getting two to his own. Obviously, there was one where Garbisi, just literally passed the ball, and then Anthony Watson just literally intercepted the ball and just ran pretty much the whole way, all the way to the other end, get the try down. So it was more or less, that was kind of like a soft try, but also pretty smart from Anthony Watson to pick that up. But overall, I think England did pretty well at the end of the day. I think they held the pressure of Italy. To some points, and where I'd say that the lineouts were slightly better than last week. Obviously, Jamie George didn't really have the really best I would say best lineout record you could say from last week against Scotland. They definitely improved with Luke Cowan-Dickie. I think he had a solid game actually. And overall, even the two props, I'd say Carl Sinclair and Maka Vinapola, they were just they were brilliant, I'd say, for England throughout the game. And especially Carl Sinclair. He was man of the match, of course, from the game. So he definitely he definitely made a marked name for himself within that match. But I think overall it's one of those games which England just really dominated, but at the same time Italy can definitely take a few points from it, from the game, and just carry it on to the next match. But I think overall, I think both sides would be pretty pleased with that result. Obviously, England do get the 4 points at the end, so from that I think they are now on, I think it's 6 points, I believe. 6 points at the end of the day, so that's pretty good for them, and I think Italy stay on 0. So that's kind of it with that match. Moving on to the second match of of this round. Obviously, that was Scotland versus Wales, and this was probably the game, I'd say, of the rounds. There was more or less where it was the closest game. Tied closest game, but it's more or less where it was end to end at each point, and obviously Scotland got off the mark really within the first half, and they scored two pretty good tries, I'd say. One was obviously from Stuart Hogg, and I think Stuart Hogg really just controlled the game within that first half. He really just did well in actually controlling the game and shifting, end to end, as well as finding gaps within the defense. So fair play to him really. And I think overall, I think Jamie Ritchie was also pretty good for them within that pack. But other than that, I wouldn't say Johnny Gray really had much of an effect, I'd say, in this game compared to last week's game against England. But overall, I thought he was pretty good for them. It's more or less where he just didn't really do as much compared to last week. But when you look at the Wales team though, I thought they were. It sounds weird, but I actually thought, even though they won last week, obviously they were much better within the first half compared to last week, where really just Ireland hung on to their dear lives when they had an early red card. So they really put their presence down essentially within that first half. Even got a try to their name, and I think overall, Wales just were very impressive in this sense. And obviously, the main one that you can kind of talk about within this game is the red card that happened, obviously, with Fagerson. And Ferguson had to go off the prop, obviously, and he that kind of really changed the game and the momentum within the second half, you could say. And Wales just pounced on it. It was more or less where Wales had, they had the opportunities where it was 17-8 at halftime, obviously to Scotland's favour, but straight from the red card, the momentum was really changing towards Wales' favour. And I think at the end of the day, it was more or less where Wales just did pretty well to actually just maintain possession of the ball, as well as just kicking towards touch. I think they were very impressive in that. Lee Halfpenny really impressed me with his penalty kicking as well within the game. He was pretty accurate, I'd say, most of the time. But the one player who just really stood out for them was Louis Zammit. I think he was just, he was he was good. He's really proving himself to be a good winger now. He's steadily getting on, which is good to see. And obviously, when you look at the game, Rees-Zammit did get 2 tries. One of them obviously was in the first half, but then he did score the winner within the 69th minute, and what a try that was. I mean, he literally got the ball at the end, right corner, ran past, chipped it over a player, and just the bounce was perfect, got it, and just scored a try. So it was a very well worked try. I'd probably say it was the best try of the game for that, within that game. But overall, Wales were just, they were very impressive, and they obviously held on to that score of 25-24 at the end of the day, and they got the win. So that was a huge win for them in a sense where obviously it's away as well. So that now takes them to 2 wins in a row at the moment, and they're sitting on 9 points at the moment. I think they are, to my knowledge, I believe they're second in the table still, due to you could say goal difference in a sense where France, obviously because of their win, I'll talk about now, they have a higher goal difference. That's the only reason why they'll be second at the moment. But overall, I think they just have to be impressed by that. I think Scotland obviously can take some, you could say, some pauses from it. I mean, like Russell was pretty good within the game overall. He's pretty good with his kicking, but I mean, other than that, it was just more or less. I mean, Hogg just did well for them, but at the end of the day, Wales really just maintained the game. So anyway, moving on to the final game. Obviously, that was for Ireland versus France, and literally, I've just watched it, and it was a really interesting game. Obviously, I think the first half was kind of dry in the sense where there wasn't really much in the sense where obviously there was the only try. France only got the only try within that first half with Charles Orleans, and Dupont did pretty well to actually make space for that to actually happen. But other than that, I mean, Jalbert pretty good with his kicking within that first half, but. When the second half happened, it was more or less like where it was just more of a kicking game, to be honest. It was more about territory in that sense. And both teams, obviously, Ireland did get a try at the end of the day. They had a line out, and then obviously, I think it's Kellaway, I believe, the replacement hooker, literally just came on, and he just ran past everyone. And it was kind of good time to actually get subbed on. A lot more energy than the other people. So he gave Ireland some kind of hope at the end, but obviously it just wasn't enough. And France just held on. So that's a good win for France, because obviously this is their first win in Ireland for like over a decade. So that's a huge win for him. Win for them. So credit to France. They definitely deserve to actually win the game, I'd say overall. But this just that result does take them obviously to 9 points. And I think Ireland now are sitting on 2, to be honest. I think. So if you look at the table actually now, I might be wrong with this, but I think it's France who have 9, then Wales who have 9, then Scotland who have 6, I believe, or I think it's England who have 6, Scotland with 6 or 5. I think 5, and then Ireland 2, Italy, not. So overall, it's a pretty say tight competition I'd say at the moment. Obviously, I think Scotland were predicted to actually beat Wales within that round 2 game, but obviously Wales really just hung on to dear life and actually got the game over the line. So that's probably the result of the weekend. And obviously there won't be matches next week, obviously due to the bye. But overall, I've been very impressed by I say all the teams actually throughout this whole throughout the first 2 rounds. Italy also showing they have a lot of potential on that side. Obviously a lot of youngsters, but they're really forming into a good group for the future. And with Ireland, they've had some dominant displays in the sense where obviously they haven't won their games, but it's more or less like where they've just been unlucky in the sense of injuries, in the sense also the red card incidents within that first game. And then when you look at what was it, Scotland, obviously they did beat they beat England, so that was a pretty huge win. But then also they did lose to Wales, so that was kind of unfortunate in a sense. What's the other one? I mean, England are. They lost to Scotland at home, which is that's a bad result for them. But beating England at home isn't really seen as like a wow. So I mean, they just have to keep on rolling really. I mean Scotland. I mean France. They've done very well in the sense where they've won both games at the moment, so they're still in a good position, as well as Wales, who to me are kind of a surprise team at the moment to actually be in that position. So credit to them. But overall, that's kind of it, really. Just literally comment below and what you tell me guys what you think about the first 2 rounds. Who do you guys think have been the player of the tournament, you could say, after the first 2 rounds, as well as your favorite try maybe. But other than that, just hope you guys have a good day and see you guys next time.